And welcome back to the Buckle Up Podcast universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush. We have a very special guest on today, Roberta Sparta, who I went to acting school with. She has been in Obi-Wan Kenobi. She played Princess Leia Organa's, I believe it was either her cousin or her aunt. She has done several films. I worked with her on Top Gun Maverick as well. And then also she just had a movie over in Cannes, or she was at Cannes Festival. And she's going to come back. Well, she just got back to the States and is going to tell me all about that. Roberta is originally from Italy, so I'm looking forward to having her on this show. I've known her for a very long time, so we're excited to have her, and she will be here any minute now. And as I said, we have 10.4, well over 10.4 million viewers and listeners. I think it was 10.4. Yeah, 10.4. It's about to get beat 10.5. We're doing really well, and we are in 24 countries and 220 cities as of last night. I didn't check today, so those are our numbers as of last night. So I'm excited about it. And she'll be here any minute now. Let's see if I can pause this. And I believe Roberta should be here in just a second. I see your audit. Yes! Roberta, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it was great to see you too. I love your winter outfit.
We're matching.
Yeah, I know. I just noticed that. That is so awesome and completely unplanned.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I love it. You look as stunning as ever right now. You always do. Thank you so much for coming on the Buckle Up Podcast universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush, but it's just me today.
Oh.
Wait, Roberta,
how
have you been?
I've been great, and I've been busy, and I'm happy, so I can't complain, really. Life has a lot to give lately, so,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's good. I was kind of just like preemptively telling them, originally you're from Italy, I believe. Is that correct? I think that's correct.
That is correct, yes.
What part of Italy?
Close to Venice, so northeast part of Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome. I'm going to get into this today. I also said that you had been to Cannes. So I know that you went to Cannes and then you're also in Obi-Wan. So we're going to hit all of that right now.
Sure. Go for it.
Yeah. So how about this? Let's see. We can start anywhere you want to because you have so much to cover. I'm so interested about the Italy part. But then again, I know people want to hear about the Obi-Wan and you being at the Cannes. So wherever you want to start, let's start from the beginning. How about that?
Actually, yeah, let's go with the flow.
Okay. So you're in Italy. Growing up, what was life like in Italy and how does that get you over to the States? Let's kind of go there.
So I come from a very, very small town. It's like 12,000 people total. Where where everybody knows one another. Everybody's in everybody's business. And I love it because looking back, I feel very fortunate the way I grew up, Also without technology. It's kind of like Italy is probably like 5 to 10 years behind the States, right? So I had a very quiet, childhood and whatnot. I still have the same friends today as I did, when I was growing up. Yeah. But I always had even as a child, I always had this weird feeling that I was always looking at people. My parents are, they're retired now, but they were business owners. They had their own factory and they made clothes. So they were in fashion. Yeah. And so, very 9 to 5, but they're entrepreneur because they own their business. And so I always remember not them necessarily, but looking at people that, who works at the post office or the small town life. I was like, man, how do they do it? They're here, they don't do anything else. They don't travel. Because when I was growing up, 75 years ago now, even traveling was different. And I always had this feeling that I wanted to go and explore and see things. And little did I know, when I was 16, I was stopped at a mall. I was at a mall just doing my thing by a makeup artist that asked me to essentially become a model for her makeup line.
Okay.
And I said yes, but I was I was a minor still. So basically, I think that resulted a few days after I went with my dad to Milan. We signed the first contract, but I was still in school. And then after I finished like I guess would be the equivalent of high school for the States.
Yeah.
I moved to Milan and I started working as a model full time, and then I got into commercials.
Yeah.
Like so video more than just photos. And when I started commercials, that's how I got into acting.
Yeah.
But still totally unplanned. Like I
Yeah.
never wanted to be an actor ever in
Oh,
my
really?
life. Oh yeah, and it was never, I kind of like fell into it. But then when I fell into it, I liked it. So I was like, hey, wait a second, I want to do more of this. I want to
Yeah.
study. And that's when I started taking classes and, in Milan, but I always wanted to study with American coaches. And I was like, I
Yeah.
got to go to the States. And that's when I auditioned for the American Academy,
Okay. Did
which
you?
is where you and I met.
Yeah.
And so I auditioned in London with
Oh,
a
really? Wow.
yeah, because they do a world tour, right? To
Okay. Yeah.
audition people. And I was like, I'm not gonna go to the States.
LA.
Like
Yeah.
London is closer, right? So I auditioned in London with like my mind you, but then I hadn't watched a single movie in original language. I barely spoke English.
Really?
Oh yeah, so it was like, so what they teach you in school in Italy at least is more of the British
Okay.
English,
Yeah.
but also again, the access to like original language wasn't as
Easy to come by.
easy as today. And so I just auditioned with my very basic, English skills, and little did I know I got in, and then I essentially came to LA with literally two suitcases, and I didn't know anybody. So
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was
wow.
it.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry. I didn't know that about you, that makes your story that much more impressive. Like, not that it wasn't impressive before, but I'm saying like, I didn't know that you went through all those steps. I didn't know because your English was so good to me that I didn't know that
Oh
you
my
didn't.
God,
And I'm
no.
dead serious.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. But that is incredible. I mean, that's quite the journey of you starting off. And by the way, how far is Milan from where you're from originally?
Like 2.5 hours by train, so
Okay.
it's close.
Yeah.
All the distances are very close by. And my parents would come and visit, and I would go home during the weekend. It wasn't like any like major, transplant in a way. But
Yeah.
yeah, when I came to the States, I was like, it's funny that you say that, because for the first like solid 6 months,
Yeah.
I was constantly frustrated because I couldn't understand when
Really?
people talk, and people couldn't understand me, or so I felt.
Yeah.
And I remember the first movie I watched in original language was Frost versus Nixon,
Oh, really?
which is like
That's a
just a
great
bunch of,
movie.
but it's like a bunch of people talking, so it's like unless you get the dialogue, it's
Yeah, you
like
don't know what's going on.
right.
Yeah.
And halfway through the movie, I just started bawling because I
Oh,
just got
really?
I just got so frustrated, because it's like I don't understand what's going on, because it's dialogue. It's not like, Fast and Furious, where it's just like,
Yeah.
you can follow the action, right?
Yeah.
Um, but shortly after that, I don't know how else to explain it, but
Yeah.
it's like one morning I woke up and I could understand people, and people could understand me. So I think it's also like, repetition and like
Yeah.
being in the environment. So, but yeah, that was a trip. It was very
I
interesting.
mean, that's so incredible. Like I'm actually like I'm stuck on words because I'm at a loss for words because that's so impressive that you were able to do that, and the fact that you to overcome all those obstacles, because yeah, there was that language barrier for you there, and on top of that, you're away from home, far away from
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
So for you to come to America, that's a testament to you. That's inspiring, by the way,
Thank you.
because there's probably so many people that I know I hear all the time people from, and I'm not calling you a foreigner, but people that are foreign to America want to come over to the States and pursue whatever dream that might be. And here it is, you're a person that did that, and have been still successful, still living in the States, doing all this. So
Yeah.
and have become, you are successful. You're like a testament to how much people from outside of our country come in and help our country. Truly.
Yeah, and I believe that, I don't remember who I was speaking to a few days ago, but, right now it's like all this talk about, oh, like America's not what it used to be and this and that.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, I don't know what America used to be, because I only got here 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Or a little over than that.
Yeah.
But I can say that for me, at least here, it's been life changing because I had the opportunity, or I created the opportunity
Yeah.
to build the life that I wanted. And
Yeah.
so I still think, would have I made it in Italy the same way? I don't know, but I'm forever grateful to America because, like, for me, it has changed my life,
Yeah.
and I found a lot of, one of the things that I find the most inspirational about America and Americans is that there's always this, like, yes, we can,
Yeah.
there's like, resilience and like innate like feeling that you are gonna make it if you
Yeah.
really want to. That, like, for instance, in like where I'm from, there's more of a, and I love all my Italians, but there's more of a complaining mentality.
Oh,
Whereas here it's like, no, like, this is what we're doing and we're doing
yeah.
it now. And I love that. So
Mhm.
yeah, very grateful. I mean, I worked hard, because everything that I got, I
Earned.
legit earned, but the system works. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I made it happen. And I always want to tell people that are starting any journey in
Yeah.
life, can be open your bakery, become an actor, move wherever you
Yeah.
want. It's taking that first step and just looking at it one step at a time. That,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Roberta, I am so impressed by you, and and I'm grateful for you. Thank you for coming on the show too, by the way.
Of course.
I love that you said that because it's looking, you being from the outside, you're saying how you look at America as people being a place where, yeah, if you work hard, then you can get there. But here we have so many people. Even I have a bunch of friends. I have a bunch of friends that are like entitled. Entitlement happens here all the time. Not just friends, but people outside that entitled, thinking that it's supposed to be handed to you. And I'm like, that's not how it works. You have to work. I mean, if you happen to be born into something, you still have to work. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's just going to be handed to you. You have to put the work in, and like, don't expect it, entitlement. Because you're saying people in Italy might complain a bit. We have people that complain here too. It's kind of, we have that in common. It's just the fact, but to hear you're someone who decided that, you know what, I'm going to go against the grain and I'm going to work to go after my dream. Just like your parents worked to start their own
Correct.
clothing factory. They're proof of, I don't know where they came from in Italy, but I'm pretty sure that they had to work hard too to get to where they are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned, because my dad is from Sicily, which
Oh,
is
really?
like all the way south. Yeah. And he had a very, very cushy, just like corporate jobs back then. And when he married my mom, he moved up north. I mean, they
Yeah.
tried to live in Sicily for a little bit, but that has, its own set of challenges.
Yeah.
So they moved up north where the rest of the family was. And he was traveling a lot. And after a little bit, it's like, I'm done being away from my family so
Yeah.
much. And that's when he straight up resignate from, quit his job.
Yeah.
And my mom was a, newly graduated like fashion designer, and
Okay.
they just did their own thing. So yeah, for sure, they took risks. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
But
Yeah.
that's so impressive. God, I got to meet your parents. Do your parents speak pretty good English, or are just mainly Italian?
My dad is good English speaker. He actually came to LA like a couple of times.
Okay.
My mom, I think she gets it, but she doesn't speak it really.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if your dad might be up to it, but I would love to interview him sometime if he might ever be up to it. He might just something you run
Sure.
past him after, because I'd love to hear his story as well.
He
Um,
would love it.
yeah, no, I would too. Like, so I'm gonna tell you now. If you would ask your dad for me, I would love to have him on, because that
I
his
will.
story. Because I have friends that are in the corporate world that are afraid to step out of that corporate world. It sounds like your dad was too, but then your dad
Yeah.
took that leap of faith and went out on his own to do his own business with your mom.
Yeah.
So you had that,
Absolutely.
and it's nice that you had those two examples of your parents that are. Seems like they're pretty supportive, or and you following your dreams, or at least they had the blueprint of how they did it, so how you could do it too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
It was, the only thing is, like, it was hard for them to comprehend because it is the pursuit of
something difficult. Extremely difficult.
an artistic endeavor. And I
Yeah.
come from a very like business oriented, town, and just overall region, like really, really hard worker, but all in the, like industry or services, like not so much like into the arts.
Yeah.
So it was like tough for them to be like, wait, what do you do?
Yeah.
And then, it kind of like all came full circle when I stepped into production, because
Yeah.
that's when things like really took off for me. And it's also because, like I said, I never, there are some actors that are like, they just have this like burning desire, like
Yeah.
I either act or I act. And
Yeah.
for me, it was never like that. And I
Okay.
admit to it. Like, I enjoyed it, but
Yeah. It wasn't your passion, maybe.
it wasn't like my, and when I was little, I my when it's like, what do you want to become? Sorry, I have to turn on the car or the phone will die.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah.
It's like, what is your dream job? And when I was little, I always wanted to be a manager, like a CEO.
Okay.
Right? Study business, which then I totally went off the deep end. But right now that, I am very successful in what I do, and I did find that one thing that gets me out of bed in the morning and that I pursue with, with resilience and with passion, and is hard AF, like obviously harder, like I think, to also being like an artist.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I found my fit, and it's like I look back and it's like I am a CEO, like, of my own company. So it kind of like all came together in an unexpected way, which is, like I was saying earlier, it's about taking that first step and not really knowing where you're going necessarily.
Absolutely. And no, you're right, Roberta. And now you're producing and directing. Is that correct? Am I wrong with that? Am I right about that?
No, you're correct. I had my directing debut for a spoken word album. Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Congratulations.
Which it was interesting because even there I stepped into it. I didn't know I wanted to direct, but it's this dear friend of mine. Her name is Havilah Malone, and she's very accomplished. She's a best-selling author, she's an actor, she's great. She would be also a very interesting person to interview because she has so much to say.
I would love to have her.
But she basically, we worked together on a proof of concept, and I was producing that one. I wasn't directing.
Okay.
But it was just being me, doing my thing, and you kind of sort of sometimes have to direct.
Yeah.
And 3 days later, she comes to me and she goes like, "Hey, do you want to direct this?" And I'm like, "You mean produce it?" And she goes like, no, I want you to direct it, because she was like, "I've seen it." And I'm like, "Sure." And I said yes. And because, I was like, I trust her a lot. I have a very special relationship with her. And she's one of those friends that, sees gifts in you that maybe you haven't like embraced yet.
Yeah.
And so I trusted her, and I produced, directed, because I found the locations, it's just the whole thing had a very organic flow, and I loved it. And while I was doing it, I was like, I actually know how to direct, because I've been around and I've seen it and I've done it even as assistant director so much that it has become, second nature. And right now we have been invited to, because we already did the premiere of the video. We have been invited to over 200 festivals. And thank you. And so the title of the project is I Am in Love.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna have a stellar festival season, because I think we already have something like 58 official nomination.
Heck yeah.
So it's kind of insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm hyped for you.
Thank you.
So yeah, but you the thing is, you put in the work, and like I believe in you. Like if no one else does, I do. And like I remember whenever you were about to switch over to you had just done. I was so happy to see you on Top Gun Maverick that day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was so excited to see you on that day. Like I love that picture of us too. I'm gonna use that for the podcast thing. I knew that you told me then, like, hey, Brandon, I think I'm gonna be switching over to producing now. And then you ended up booking, actually, I don't want to get into that just yet, but then you ended up booking the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing. But I want to get back to you doing Kane before I get to the Obi-Wan part. You end up going to Canes, right? Or something?
Yeah. So basically, December last year, another friend of mine, he's a brilliant director. His name is Alex Cowman. He actually called me, I think it was October.
Okay.
And we had worked on something briefly. He was like, hey, Roberta, like I have this project. I think it's going to happen like next month. You want to produce it? And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
And little did I know, because I didn't know him that well, he really meant it. And like a month and a half later, this is funny. He just liked my story.
Okay.
Uh, he was like, yeah, we're ready. Let's do it. So we made a beautiful horror movie here in
Really?
LA. Yeah. So it's a horror drama. I also helped with casting because I invited Chris Mulkey and Dana Sparks, whom I work with on a Western like the year before.
Okay.
And so I produced it alongside him and Danielle Coleman, who's the writer executive producer of the project. And then we submitted to Fantastic Pavilion in
Okay.
Cannes, which is a new section at the film festival that showcases new genres, new directors, and we got in. And so we had our market premiere in Cannes this year. It was May 15th.
Okay.
And it was a wonderful experience. We had a packed room. There was a line outside.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, no, it had a great success. The entire, not the entire, but a good amount of the crew was there. Some cast were there.
Yeah.
Some cast members were there. So it was amazing. And right now we are, deciding distribution
Okay.
as of what route we're gonna take. And then I have two more projects with Alex. I'll be producing, he'll be directing. And I just love to find team players
Yeah.
that, or minds that think alike. Because for I remember the beginning of my career, I was like, why is always the same people that work, and why is everybody working with the same people?
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Because, like, once you find somebody that,
It
like,
works.
gels with you and just makes the whole experience, like, more fun
Yeah.
and enjoyable. And just overall, it's like, it's a family, right? That
Yes,
creates
it is.
itself. So once you find those magical collaborators that you gel with, yeah, just go with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy.
Man, I'm happy for you. I felt like I was there with you because I was watching. Your family came too, didn't they? Was that your family that I saw?
Yeah.
I was so happy. Honestly, I was so happy for you just with that. Like,
Thank you.
because to have your family there, to know that you were successful, to know that you worked hard, and to be on that huge of a stage, it doesn't get much bigger than that. If that might be the
Yeah.
top. And so I just saw the photos of you and your family, and I was just so happy. Like my heart was so happy for you because it's like this girl has worked. This woman now, because I know you since you were a girl. It's like she has worked so hard to get to where she is, and for her to be there with her family, like that's just a moment that I just hope you embraced and just realize how a moment you can be proud of yourself too, if you're not already.
Yeah.
That was truly special, and I was watching the whole entire time. I was watching every day. That's why I was like, you said, hey, you want me to come on first? I was like, no, go to Canes first, so I can ask you about it. So I can ask you about it, and I'll also have you on here anytime too, because I there's so much deeper with stuff that I have to get into with you. But another question I had for you was, Roberta, because you've been on the acting side of things, and then you are very, at least I know you as a nice person. It's interesting that with your casting process, how you would have brought that to the dynamic, because I'm not sure how many auditions you went on, but I've been on probably like 400 or 500 in person. In that room, when you enter that, well, when it used to be in person, a lot of them, that room can be kind of cold. Like they all have like a poker face on, I guess, at least what in my experiences. But I've been blessed to where I've made them laugh, or I got them to lose their guard, to where I got to see like, hey, they're actually like Roberta, perhaps. But it wasn't. That was like few and far between. For the most part, it's like, hey, I didn't know that this person how it was going to be. So from your perspective, how nervous actors can be going into an audition. How did that play a factor in when you were casting these things?
Well, I mean, for the remedy, but like casting in general has changed a lot since the pandemic. Because like the in-person factor, which is also what drew me away from acting partially, because after I did Obi-Wan, which was a self-tape, and we can talk about that, I was like, I don't want to, like, because self-tape became a job. You were just turning in these self-tapes. And the reality of it is, because yeah, it happens sometimes, they're not even watched.
Yeah.
Because if you find that one person that is like, this is it,
Yeah.
then this is it, you know? And so when I deal with actors, I always try to have a true, like, one-to-one connected relationship.
Yeah.
And I always like to crack a joke, and I'm always, very, thankful and appreciative of them showing up, being like there's a lot of Zoom callbacks. So there's a lot of, like, screen
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I have to say, at the beginning I was like, oh, this is never gonna be the same. Right now that I'm casting, I want to say that even if I meet somebody on Zoom and then I
Yeah.
cast them, when I meet them in person, it's great. Like, it's like basically the impression that comes off, or the opinion that I may form during the virtual casting,
Yeah.
carries onto the in person.
Yeah.
And so sure, it's a shame that I don't get to meet them in person, and like from the get-go,
Yeah.
but I always end up being happy with my choices,
Okay, good.
so that's actually refreshing, because originally I was like, is it going to be the same thing? And right now I'm trying to see the positive, because I also think for self tapes, we're really giving the actors the opportunity to do it
Yeah.
over and over and over again
Yeah.
till they feel comfortable
Yeah.
sending it. And maybe if they were in the room, we wouldn't have seen that, because maybe,
True.
nerves get in the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always try to have very straightforward conversations with actors, and also when it comes on, like, bookings and avails and all of that, because I remember being there, like, not knowing, or you have to linger till the last minute. I
Yeah.
always try to keep a straight communication. Like, as soon as I know, I let the choice know and the non-choice know as well,
Oh,
because
that's good.
people need to know, and they need to, I think it also gives them closure,
Yeah.
right? Rather than, be hanging and, like, not knowing. So yeah, that's something that I try to do, because I thought that was the most excruciating part, was
Yeah.
not knowing.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, I love that you said that. I'm glad that you take that approach too. One of the things I did was I was very blessed. There's an actor named David Ramsey who was in he was on Dexter, and he was on what's the show called? Arrow. He's a black actor who I got advice from, and then the actor named Peter Coyote, who's been in a bunch of stuff. They both been in all these. Peter Coyote was in E.T. and he did a bunch of films. They basically said, "Hey, Brandon, the best thing you can do as an actor is to build a relationship with the casting community." And so that's what I actually did, Roberta, back when we were in college. I mean, back at the acting school.
Yeah.
I was doing open mic nights, and I was performing at those showcases and stuff. And I was building that relationship with the casting community back then. So so that way they got to know me, and I got to know them. So that made a complete change, because they got to see me perform at because I was always doing 5-page scenes. So they got to see me perform at my full, and I got to build that relationship with them, getting to know me,
Yeah,
and I also did that for my nerves, because I didn't want to have nerves going in. So I felt like, hey, if I build this relationship there, then I can, when I go into an audition, hey, at least I know the person.
absolutely.
So that's what I did for myself, which worked completely. I personally now I've done so many in persons all over the world, or at least all over the United States, that I love. And I was going to all those, like in New York, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Los Angeles. I was flying to all these. But when they did, so I love self tape so much. I can't tell you how much I love self tapes, just because I can be, now I can be anywhere I want to be, instead of stressing about trying to make an
Yeah,
audition, calling off of work, going broke, going to those auditions. So, but that's just for me personally. But I love the fact that, as you said, that you took the approach of letting the actors know early, because yeah, it is stressful when you're pinned for something. I was pinned for something one time, went out, spent all this money, and the role never came through. I was like, wow, I've been pinned a lot, but that was one of the times. That was when I first learned about not spending before you get something.
yeah.
But yeah, so next thing, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so basically it came at a very interesting time, because I was ready to, like, call it,
Yeah,
because I was getting overwhelmed with all the self tapes, and I was in booking, and I'm like, man, like, this is not my jam. And I was, like, tired uh, of the workflow and the pandemic.
yeah,
So this audition comes through, and I was like, it came from my manager, and it was audition for a Disney mom, and it was an improv.
Yeah.
And I remember I looked at it, I was like, I'm never gonna get cast for the Disney mom. We all know this, but sure, whatever, let's do it. I'm just gonna have fun with it and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And so it was this improv. I did it in my small one bedroom with a friend of mine that was like pretending to be my daughter that I had to get down from a tree. That was the thing. And the bit. And so I do it, I send it in, never thought of it again. Like a week later, it's like, hey, they really liked your audition. Are you available these dates? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And then like another 4 days go by. It's like, hey, they wanna see you for a fitting, and they'll send you a contract. And I was like, okay, this was all through my manager. And apparently it was the casting director that had reached out to her.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so she sends me the contract, my manager, without saying anything.
Yeah.
And I look at the contract, I was like, oh my God, this is so long. Because, I'm used to like non-studio stuff, I guess. I was like, oh my God, I keep going and going and going. And then at the very last page, at the very bottom of the page, it says Lucasfilm. And so in my brain, I was like, who's Luca? Because never, you know what I mean? Because I never, like, you're not in the time frame. I was like, whatever is gonna, like, it just didn't compute in my brain that it could have been him. And then I was like, and then I double take because I was like, wait a second, like this logo looks very familiar. And then I was like, can it be? And I legit did like a Google search of the logo to make sure I wasn't.
Yeah.
I just, when you absolutely cannot get it, like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And so then I called my manager, who was like the chillest person on planet Earth. She was like, yeah, I think it's something that Disney is doing. And I was like, yeah, but this is a big deal. And she was like, yeah, but we'll see. I think she was trying to also like manage expectations because sometimes like what if they pull the role, they cut the part. So it's like management of expectations. Like, okay. So then I go to the fitting and I go to Manhattan Beach Studio.
Yeah.
And I arrive and I park my car and I go and I walk upstairs, still not knowing a thing. I do not have a script. I'm going for a fitting. And I walk into this room, and it was a room, like gigantic room, 3 side walls, right? So wall to wall to wall, full of Jedi costumes. And that's when I freaked out. I was like, oh my God. And I think I almost started crying because like you start realizing, something is up. And the costume designer comes out. She goes like, hi, you must be Roberta. And I was like, yeah, like, I think so. I was like, I don't know.
You lost your name.
And so I go into this like side. It was like, you want water? Do you want like all this like Uber fluff stuff? And I'm like, I'm used to like non-union, right?
Yeah.
And then she takes this book that was like this thick, beautiful, like leather cover, and she opens it, and she had drew me, and I had like this like full-on costume. And at that point, my face fell, and she goes like, she looks at me and she goes like, they haven't told you anything. And I was like, no, they did it. Yeah. And so she was the first person that gave me the spiel. I think she's also an Academy Award winner, actually, for costume. And because then I obviously looked her up because I was trying to reverse engineer what it was, because she only told me who my character was.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm part of the royal family, and so she was explaining the dress and all of that. And I tried it on. It was great. Took a few photos, left. And then 3 days later, or 4 days later, I received my logging info to the portal.
Yeah.
Because they don't give you sides. You're never in possession of anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's just too hot, right? And so I had my login info with quadruple factor authentication enabled. And it was like this, like, I don't know if now I'm like saying too much and I'm gonna get sued, but it's like, it was like this portal that it was like I was in Star Wars in the portal. It was like insane. Yeah. And then when I went to set, like I had to go walk around, although we were in the lot, with a cape on
Yeah, the
top of
black
the
thing.
dress, the
Yeah.
black thing, because nobody can like see it, because obviously there's other people shooting other shows and whatnot. But it was because we shot in the original volume stage where a lot of the Mandalorian was shot.
Oh, amazing.
And I even remember like walking to this to the sound stage, and it was like I mean, it was insane because like even if you read it, you truly are not prepared for the visuals you're gonna see. And I remember I arrived and there was like forget like a crew of 80 people
Yeah.
probably, but I was on a planet because it was
Yeah.
Alderaan, right? And it was like rotating. I was like, what? And then I was trying to keep a straight face because I was like, I can't show that, I'm like
Yeah, that you're a
so
freak. Yeah.
like freaked out in all the good ways because like, oh my God. The best part was at the beginning, at the top of the day when I got there to, work there, I worked 2 days. I had to go to the makeup trailer.
Yeah.
And so I go in and, I'm chilling. And then I hear hi, and I turn around, I was like, hi. And it was Jimmy Smith. It was like
Oh, I
right
love Jimmy
there.
Smith. I worked with Jimmy before.
Like, and I was like, and I just smiled right there, and I'm like, well, what else am I gonna do? Little did I know I was in the scene with him.
Yeah.
Because that's how much they don't tell you. Because like the stars' names are like either fake names on the call sheet or like its initials or whatnot. And he's the sweetest person because at the time my grandma was still alive.
Yeah.
And I was actually, because that was 2021. I filmed that, and then I was going to Italy because she was very sick, so I was going to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And we talked about her, and we talked about family. It was wonderful. And I'm still in touch with with Princess Leia's mom.
Okay.
Simone,
Yeah.
who then went on and did Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
And so the cast was wonderful, the crew, it was just like an experience that is like impossible to top, because I was also not only the first Italian actress to be in the franchise.
Oh, amazing.
But the first actress to ever portray the character of Sally Organa. Because Sally Organa, had never been portrayed before. And for a moment, I really had my hopes up in the sense that I was like, oh, maybe, there's going to be more, or maybe I should like hang on to like acting a little bit more. But I just had this, gut instinct that I was like, you know what? No, this is the perfect like ending, to my chapter, which obviously it's never really going to end because like I still did parts after that. It's just my approach to the career is different. But I was like, no, this is like, I'm going to go out, on a high note because it's like, how am I going to top this ever, So it was insane. It was, the bestest way to like, because it was also unexpected.
Yeah.
I didn't have expectations when I did the audition, and I never had expectations because I never knew what to expect. So it's almost better to not give too much information.
Yeah.
Because then, you leave room for surprises. So it was pretty amazing.
Well, Roberta, just two quick things because I know I'm gonna let you go, and
it's fine.
I'm gonna have you back too, though. I will have you back, I promise.
Okay.
Jimmy Smits. I love Jimmy. I worked with Jimmy for 2 months in Atlanta, Georgia, on 24 Legacy, and my scenes are always with Jimmy. So I have a lot of scenes with Jimmy. He's the most down to earth guy ever, and I also loved it. I've been watching the Pee Wee Herman documentary. Jimmy Smith played a small part in the Pee Wee Herman show. So he was like a character in the Pee Wee Herman show. He was like a plumber. I think might have frozen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he started.
Hold on. I think you. Oh, hold up. Go again. Now I hear you. I only heard he was a character.
Yeah. So Jimmy Smits. I said that when I worked with him in Atlanta, and you worked with him on Star Wars.
24 Legacy. Yeah.
Jimmy he's been a journeyman for sure. I was watching the Pee Wee Herman documentary, and then I watched this character, this guy, this little bit plumber with Jimmy Smits, who played the plumber in that thing. And look how big Jimmy Smith's career has gone on to be. And then also Lawrence Fishburne, who played Morpheus in The Matrix, he was Cowboy Troy on the Pee Wee Herman show. And then,
oh my God.
yeah, he
Yeah.
got to start there. And then Phil Hartman, the late Phil Hartman, who was great, he was also a character on the Pee Wee Herman show. So these three actors that went on to be huge actors in their careers all started on the Pee Wee Herman show. So it's kind of great that, like, it's cool that him being so down to earth, he was so down to earth with me. And we'd always be traveling together, and then just being down to earth with you. Like, Jimmy remembers where he came from, and like he is sitting there passing that torch on to you, for instance, being there and just making you feel at home because he was there.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's like, and I actually didn't like think about this moment with him till I just told it now, but it was like I was talking to a friend,
Yeah,
because like we were talking about my grandma.
yeah,
So no,
he's a
he's
real
really
one.
sweet. Yeah, he's a real one, and it's always that's also why, and that's the other thing, that also made me feel more at peace with my decision to like, step away from acting, that when I see, like, even just seeing him rehearse or
Yeah,
do anything, as a matter of fact, like he's always on. But it happened with him and with other actors that I've seen on set perform, even as a producer, like you watch them and they're so magnetic that you're like, there's nothing else this person should be doing with their lives. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
And which is, I think, a magical gift, because not everybody has it. And that's like, it kind of like liberated me as well, because because you can tell for them it's truly a form of expression of freedom. Like when
yeah,
they're there, they're so, yeah, free and embodied and what's their true nature, that like for me it was never like that. It always felt like a little bit, I don't want to say forced, but I never felt, or rarely should I say, I felt in that genius zone, right?
yeah,
Whereas when I produce, I feel I am constantly in my genius zone, which is
yeah,
why I also do so much, because it's like it's a self-feeding, situation. So yeah, I have a lot of theories, but like genius zone, or like I talked about another podcast that I call about the pocket theory, that I
okay,
kind of like I made it up myself, but it's really NFL based, because another thing that I've done when I was a struggling actor, I was working for Panini, which is a trading card company,
okay,
right? And I was doing the NFL rookie day. So like the day when the guys arrive from
yeah,
college right before they
yeah,
go pro, and they sign a bunch of merch, and they're like kids out of college,
yeah,
right? With maybe a debit card. And it's like, and each and every one of them, because I would spend like 7 hours watching them sign stuff, because you have to itemize and on
yeah,
all of that. But you kind of like develop a rapport. So you get to know where they come from,
yeah,
their family, they usually also have girlfriends and all of that. And I got, because I never cared for NFL before, but I got into it because it's like, oh, I want to see what, so and so does this
does with
season.
the life, yeah,
So I got into watching NFL, and then I got into Tom Brady, like I did, for Kobe Bryant or LeBron
yeah,
James, which is more of like the mentality, right? And the
yeah,
level
absolutely,
of efficiency they perform at. And so when I think about producing, it's like the producer is essentially the quarterback, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so you look, for instance, at Tom Brady, and this goes for all high performance individual. You are in this pocket where you have your lineman, right? So you are being protected, but there's like the world is essentially coming quite
for you,
literally at you,
yeah,
right? And what Tom Brady does, in my opinion, best than anybody else, is perform exceedingly well
under pressure,
in under pressure, because he's the guy that's going to round the ball down in like a minute,
yeah,
or that does the insane things. And that is because, which is, I then analyze myself, and it's like sometimes like the right idea or the right thing happens at crunch time. And
yeah,
what happens is you're there, and this is also like problem solving, and you have the problems or the people with problems coming at you, and everybody is on a, a track, right?
yeah,
And you have to like stay calm, and B, you're in this pocket and you're waiting for the right line to open.
Yep.
Because in these positions where everybody is scrambling for something and everybody one way or another is not giving up, but like getting stressed.
Yeah.
If you stay centered and you're going to see where the line opens, then that's your Hail Mary, right?
Yeah.
So basically right now in producing, because it's so hard, especially for me that I'm like just growing my company. So, I kind of have Gronk, but not really. Like I'm still training people, right? So, it's a trip though. So it's like he's injured, he's gonna come back next week. Let's see, type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's like when pressure increases, that's when it's crucial to like stay in it, because that's also what makes the difference, like when you're on set or you have to problem solve, or even when it comes to like getting a project funded, it's like always stay truly stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
And just like wait it out, and just keep centered till something is going to arrive. And that goes also for career wise, like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not working, or things are stale. Sure, they are, but they're still here, they're flowing somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you gotta constantly be able to reinvent yourself, because I say right now, I'm a producer, I produce certain type of content, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the same content 2 years from now, because everything is evolving, right? So yeah, this pocket theory, I love it. And
I love it too. Look at you breaking it down too.
Yeah, it's one of my things that I need to achieve sooner rather than later, is that I do want to make a media content, video content. I don't want to call it documentary, around Tom Brady, but more so that, because then this goes back full circle to what you and I are saying.
Yeah.
It's about the village around the person.
Yeah.
Like they did, for instance, Men in the Arena, but it's like you were saying, and we're so smart of you to bring it up, like, your parents, in this case, my parents, right, already had that, they took their chances.
Yeah.
So it's like, who are the components of the village around, brilliant individuals. Because it's like, this is gonna make me think, and then I'm gonna shut up, because
oh no, you're good.
I was actually saying it yesterday to a friend. I was like, man, like, how did I come out of my parents? Like, I feel like I'm so different and like so, I don't want to say unhinged, but in a way, like I make very bold choices,
Yeah,
right?
I love that though. Yeah.
And it's like, they still live in their little village in Italy, but like you brought up today, that the light bulb went off for me. At the end, they also did it. It was just in a different container, but the seed is
planted
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was really so thank you for that. That's my
Hey.
golden nugget of the day.
Hey, I love that golden nugget. And Roberta, one thing, it actually sounds like our families are a lot alike, believe it or not. Because my parents were the ones that did that for, like, I saw my parents do that with the things that the risk they took in their careers and with what they did. And I just got it from them. So it's interesting. Like you might say sometimes, like, oh, how did I get this from my parent? Well, yes, your parents did that. Like I always wondered how come I had this devilish sense of humor, didn't know where I got it from. Like I think I'm pretty funny. My mom always had it, but I didn't realize my mom had it until she moved me out to LA, because she never showed it to me. People always say, hey, your mom's the life of the party. Your mom's the life of the party. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, mom? and then when she moved me out to California to go to Ada, my dad, who I love, God rest his soul, because I passed away to cancer. He took me to DC so I could audition for the traveling tours of Ada. That's how I got in. So I was in South Carolina at college, and I went up to DC. My dad drove me up to DC to audition for that. So it's just that whole entire thing of like getting it from our parents are the ones that have that little spark in us. So like, just like you have that spark in you, yeah, your parents did do that. They might not have just by, I always say kids are watching. So by you just seeing what your parents did, even being in their presence, you got that was all filling into your soul.
Yeah, it's true. It's very, very, very true. So yeah, it's been truly a full circle year, because like to go back to the can part, my dad, exactly almost a year ago to the date, he essentially almost died twice.
Oh
He
no!
had
Wow.
this like, yeah, he had an infection. Little did we know, thankfully, it showed other, clinical stuff going on with the heart, and he ended up getting a double bypass
Oh
last
man.
year. And
Wow.
he's like 83, so man is strong, but age is age.
Yeah.
So that's why like going to Cannes was also so special, because it's like, I really got to share something, important. But even more so than that, what was the most beautiful thing is that once we came back from Cannes, he was able to like go and meet and hug the doctor
Awesome.
that actually saved his life.
Awesome. Wow.
Because so that was like, Cannes was fun and everything, but like that moment and like seeing that, it's like, you know, what I treasure the most about
Yeah.
that trip, and what also like fuels me as a, as an artist and a creative in terms of telling stories that can hopefully have that impact,
Yeah.
right, on the audience, that it's like that you tell stories that make people feel seen, or
Yeah.
that, that touches people. So yeah, that's where I want to go.
Okay. Well, look, Roberta, you've been absolutely amazing. First off, prayers up to your dad. I'm
Thank you.
glad that he like having a parent, just having your parents around is a blessing. And I know you love your family. Seems like you guys are close knit. Please let your dad know that I would love to have him on here. I
I will.
really would. Like I have him on as soon as he wants to come on. I'll have him on if he wants to
Okay.
come on. And then I will have you back, Roberta, literally like in a week or two if you're down.
Sure. Yeah, whenever you want, we can chat about a whole bunch of stuff. We can also, another thing that I'm very much involved in right now is
Okay.
vertical content.
Okay.
All these like mini dramas and
Oh
9 by
wow. Okay.
16. So that's a whole new side of the market that is
Yeah.
very prolific right
Yeah.
now. So if you want, we can talk about that or
Absolutely.
whatever you want.
Absolutely. I mean, are you free next week or this weekend? Because I can get you back on.
My next avail is gonna be a week from today, because I actually start a vertical production on Friday. So the
Perfect.
July 2nd.
You see, Guy keeps working it out. So where I'll have, yeah, let's how does if next week works for you? Let me know what day next week works and we'll have you back on.
Sounds good. July 2nd would be great.
Perfect. Then July 2nd's all yours.
All right. I love it.
Yeah, Roberta, thank you so much for coming on today. I loved everything you said. Like, yeah, we'll definitely. I'm going to talk about that vertical thing whenever you come back on. I will have you on back on next week. You're more than welcome on to be on anytime you want. Like,
Thank you.
because we have. I didn't tell you this. We have 10.4 million now people viewing in 24 countries. Italy's one of them, and then 220 cities around the world.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're kicking butt.
That's amazing. Good for you. Are you still acting?
Oh yeah, I still act plenty. I still act like all the time. When I'm not doing this, I'm either auditioning or I'm on a movie set. I'm dead serious. I just finished working with Tyler Perry for the second time, and I filmed a movie with Julia Stiles. So I'm still acting fully. I'm just doing this on the side. So yeah, this is just my side. This is my business outside of acting. But
sure.
they go hand in hand. So
yeah,
absolutely.
I love it.
Okay. Well, look, Roberta, thank you so much. You've been wonderful today. I'll have you back on July 2nd.
Sounds good. Mwah.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
And I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. Like,
thank you.
Round of applause.
Same to you.
Absolutely. Now get in some air conditioning. I'm thank you for being that burn up. I know you're probably burning up in there and dying, but I appreciate you.
Bye.
All right, Roberta. Bye.
Bye-bye.